Happy Friday. We made it. One more week before we fly. Oh my goodness. Things are getting real. I just spent the whole morning finishing that painting that I've been working on. Managed to mess up the sides. I was so upset. I was doing the black border on the sides and I managed to go into the piece and then I started to try and fix it and it smudged and I was like, no! I had a proper full panic attack. I think it doesn't help that it's hot. So I'm gonna put the aircon on, take a breath, go to the shops. It looks like I've managed to salvage a little bit of the sky. And I keep reminding myself as well, nobody knows what it looked like beforehand. So as long as I can blend that in, finish it off, it looks like I'll be able to seal it, get the resin on this weekend, and send it off next week, which I'm very, very, very excited about. So I'll show you guys on Monday, actually, before I pack it up. I'm going to go grab some bubble wrap. Got the address, see if I can send it speedy, and see if I can see her receive it online before I go offline for a while. But I might have to tell her that I'm going offline for a little bit, so in case I don't say anything. Oh, present. It's been a very interesting game I've been playing with myself to finish this piece. Again, I'd given myself a few different deadlines. I'd wanted to get it before her event actually happened, and then finding out what actually happened at the event gave me the idea to put some graffiti on the billboard. So I was like, okay, reasons, and then I've added some nice little details, and yeah, I'm excited, but it also reminds me again how much we can spend time on things and never be quite happy with how they're finished. And you can keep working, keep tweaking, keep adding, keep changing, keep editing, keep... And in the age of social media, that's where people get stuck. It's the constant spending far too much time on the refinement for something that's going to go out, that's going to zip straight past someone's, periphery. And then that heaviness of taking that long to create something and then going, oh, nothing landed, or oh, I got nothing from it. Forgetting that the social media page is... It's tough because I want to say volume is the game, but it's also not the case. Because again, in the case of Sarah Snow, she did it with her clients where they were only posting one thought through reel per week and they were ticking off and going, whoop. So, but I definitely think at the beginning, the reps to find your voice and to find your thing have to happen a bit more with a line in the sand of 70% out, 70% happy, out, 70% happy, out. And then after you've been doing that for a while, to then look back at your metrics and be like, okay, what within that actually sparked something from my audience, what didn't? And when looking at those numbers as well, it's very easy to think, oh, nothing really happened if your numbers are still quite low in terms of account, following, reach, and all of that. But any kind of spike is a signal. Any kind of post that even had 2 more likes than others is a signal, because something in that resonated with a few more people than, say, something else. And the way that I then like to, I guess, guide my clients in terms of figuring out what's next is before you go ahead and plan the following month or the next week of posts ahead, look back, see what ticked off. Is there a thread that you can continue? Is there a new analogy that you can add to it? Is there a new way you can present that same information? Especially with the fitness people, if you end up putting in a, say, like a carousel of certain exercises to help hips pain or low back pain, and you put a series of exercises, the following month or even a couple of weeks later, you're able to put the same one with a slightly different hook or a different caption and just change the order of the exercises. People don't remember, and they need so much more reminding than they need brand new, fresh, novel all the time. And so finding that core, finding that view, and this is where I like to tie the work back to philosophies and values and things like that, because if you can bring that message through, those are things that aren't going to change as much over time, whereas the technicalities around things, if there's new information, if there's new way of doing things, if text changed, then those things will change. But in terms of evergreen fundamentals, your philosophy, your viewpoints, you know, the bigger mission behind all of it really needs to find a way to seep through. Yeah, have a sip. That thread went somewhere and I'm not sure where it went. I mean, I've found a lot of fun now keeping the momentum a lot more present with my content. And I do understand that not everybody is designed to operate that way. It would freak the fuck out of some people. Some people need to batch create and have those things shuffled. So again, figuring out how you enjoy creating, figure out where your blocks of times for creation are within your week, and making that part of the rhythm and of the system, and then, you know, doing it for long enough and then seeing what happens on a week where everything turns to and you can't fit it in, and see what that does to your flow. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, ideally you're never finding a way to have it stop moving, but it's hard when you're still the one as like dealing as the operator with inside the business and the one that's actually producing the content. Another reason why I have been developing these sidekicks, because it's one thing to put words onto something to make it visual to then get it to send out. It's another thing to actually have to come up with the words, you know, not just from a word vomit voice note with semblance of the idea and the insights that you're looking for. And this is, again, why I have so much fun with these bots. I get to just voice note, ramble, say what's on my mind, go this way, go that way, you know, take a side quest on a detour with a thought, that side, come back, go that way, and then turn around to my bots and go, okay, what is the through line of all of this? What is the actual insight that I'm trying to relay? How do we make that clear, and how do we tie that around the story or the analogy or the, what's the word? Or the example from real clients and real life that you're doing to then make it hit harder for your audience. Because then within one post, you have proof of your own thoughts, you have proof of it happening, or how you dealt with that within your own life, which again, nobody can copy. If it's come from you and it's come from something that you've experienced and you've had a perspective on, and you go, ah, this is where I've dealt with this, this is how I handled it, this is what I advise my clients, hope this helps. That's a very different thing than you should do this. Because I'm finding a lot of things online now. Well, not finding a lot of things, but I know for myself, I'm getting annoyed when people start telling me what to do. I used to be searching for 5 tips, but now that I've moved into a different zone of what I'm searching for, and the understanding of the creation and the content that I'm putting out, and the bigger picture of who this is actually talking to. And I think this is, again, where a lot of people get frustrated with that, getting stuck in the posting for beginners but not wanting beginner clients. And there's that disconnect there, right? Because your advanced clients don't need the 5 tips. They need to know exactly how to think, or exactly how to troubleshoot or handle a situation that is presented in front of them with a new perspective and something that they hadn't already thought of. So it's a bit, I'm not going to say elusive, because it's not. I think the best advice I got for this was Becca Pike again. It was her microdosing strategy. And she said, go 6 levels deep with whatever it is you're talking about. So say you want to be doing a post about scaling a business. We're not just doing scaling. How, you know, what is an essence of scaling, or an element of scaling that helps create that in a business? To do scale, you need a team, right? And so with a team, what part of the team requires attention in order to scale? And that's training. So that's 2 down, right? So scaling a business, we're talking about hiring. Hiring, we're talking about, oh, we're talking about people, then we're talking about hiring, and we're talking about training. So that can go 2 ways. All right. So if you're looking at other people, hiring is a whole thing. So then going 1 more down, if you microdose that down, what are the things in the interview that you need to ask to make sure you're getting the correct hire? Okay, that's 1. Then what are the red flags in an interview for hiring or not? You see what I mean in terms of going a little bit deeper under the surface of just something as simple as, let's scale the business. So same, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this example off the top of my head, but let's see. Let's see. All right, so fitness. Go back to lower back pain as a carousel, right? So lower back pain. To microdose that down, I've said before, when it comes to fitness, gyms, places that are taking care of people, they're not going to segregate unless you are like a female only gym or a male only gym, which I don't think there are any, which is hilarious. But unless you're like specifically for one demographic, you're helping the human, okay? So anybody that walks in, you can technically help. So if you're looking at lower back pain, then you can microdose it down a little bit by lower back pain for women. That's one. You could do lower back pain for women who wear heels. You could do lower back pain for women who are stuck in heels so long that are in the office. Like microdose it all the way down to speaking to a very specific type of person that knows that when they see that post, it's not just oh yeah, and it glosses over. It's oh, that's me. But then that doesn't negate that you can then do the same for a male avatar, right? And microdose it down and see how many levels down you can get until you make the post so specific that the person reading it on the other side goes, they are talking to me. I think that's the biggest crux of everything that we're trying to get out of this content, right? It has to be that feeling of they are speaking to me on the other side. Because I know and I know that when that happens, the time between and credit card and payment sometimes doesn't even register because you're like, that's it. That's what I've been looking for. That's what I'm trying to solve. That's the person that's spoken to me. That's the most articulate way that I've heard it being said. Beep, beep. And yeah, sweet. And that beep completely erased the thought from my brain. So microdosing's one. In terms of getting more specific in your client without actually niching down. It's getting to the roots, getting to the nuts and bolts. And I guess it's almost like asking yourself that question, why? Again, ask enough times. So use one of the go-tos actually is always frequently asked questions when it comes to clients. So anything that is said all the time or repeated with your clients, that's always easy content. But then say if you have a point of view for something within your industry, ask yourself why at least 3 times before you get to the point as to what it is you're posting. Where was my brain going with that example? So, okay, you shouldn't do this if you want this. Okay, why? Well, because this I'm trying to link it to like an actual thing. I'm trying to link it to an actual example on the spot, and my brain's not cooperating. I've written an email on this. I'll put it in the description. My brain went blank. That's what happens on a Friday when you spend the first 2 hours on a painting and then you mess it up and you gotta go do something else. I actually have to get to the shops now, running around. I'm picking up a little surprise cake for my husband and I to celebrate getting to the mountains. And we've got a lovely lady in the village that makes the most amazing cakes. Shout out to Kat from Sprinkles. If you are in the Hong Kong area and in the Gold Coast area, buy her cakes. They are delicious. What else? Honestly, that's it for an update for today. We're going to keep it nice and short, feeling a little scattered, but happy Friday. We've got one more week of these types of content. As I go away, I'm not going to put any pressure on myself to do this type of sit-down tea with Maya chats while I'm away, but I will probably end up doing some shorts and doing some little views of where we are in Lima and, yeah, little walk and talks and little updates for you guys. So keep an eye out on those, and that's about it. In the meantime, I'd really like to know more about what it is you guys are looking to achieve in your content or in your businesses or building online. What are the areas that aren't quite clear, or what are the examples of the nuance that you've thought are so you that you can't get clear on what the next steps are? I'd love to actually start breaking down some of these things from the comments in the videos as we go through. But hey, we hit 100 videos. I hit my target. This is episode 68, I think, of Tea with Maya. So the fact that we'll be getting to just over 70 before I leave is blowing my mind. And the fact that I have found a format that I enjoy, that there are people that are starting to find the page and find the channel is exciting. So, yeah, the goal is not to freak myself out of this. And let's go. Happy Friday.